Hello, welcome, and we are reading chapter 14 today. So I'm just going to get right into it. Chapter 14, Holding Out. In the kitchen, Deborah sat on an uncomfortable, modern-style stool shaped like a 7. She wished the designer had thought to add a back. It would have made it more tolerable to wait while Arya curled her hair. Even the toilet would have been a softer embrace for her bum, but she wanted to sit wherever she could fit everyone else around her. I know what I should wear. 1 second. Deborah attempted to leap off the stool, but Arya placed her hand on her shoulder and halted her in position. Whoa, I'm in the middle of a curl. Wait until I finish, otherwise your hair might get messy, Arya said. As soon as Arya's husband came home from work and could watch their daughter, Arya had left and arrived at Deborah's not too long after Shelly and Savannah had shown up. The date preparation alert from Deborah had been taken seriously. The overlap in festivities didn't bother Deborah. Apartment disordered and mingled plans were worth a home filled with her family and her closest friend. Even as Arya studied her and the white stool, Deborah's soul jumped with jubilation, a feeling that came in sparse moments across the year. Deborah laughed and agreed to sit and not move any limbs. In the still, the chaos increased. Deborah questioned most beauty choices that had already irreversibly been made, and Arya answered Deborah's self-questioning with reassurances, until frustration led her to lecturing Deborah on the importance of self-confidence. Seriously, Deborah, you need to take a second to relax. Remember, you're beautiful, okay? Beauty's less about what you look like on the outside and more about who you are on the inside. The more confident and kind you are, the more beautiful. Deborah didn't know why, but this disappointed her. Despite the work she accomplished in her career, she did not esteem herself as talented or successful. Skills equaled confidence, and Deborah's own mother reminded her of this until she passed away and left it imprinted in the 30-year-old Deborah. Although Deborah no longer thought of the chiding she used to constantly hear, she remembered the message. During her pregnancy with Brandon, she promised herself that her kids would have the skills needed to feel confident. She would help them grow up and become better than her. They would know they were special. Deborah determined to do this. When she thought of her children, she thought she had failed most of them. Brandon had doubted his work abilities and fled to a self-crisis in Thailand. Savannah couldn't settle down and consider living the life of a responsible adult. At least with Shelly, she thought her teachings had worked, to a degree. Unlike her mother, Shelly had made it to graduate school. She had done a grand thing at a young age. She must have known how special she was, more than Deborah knew. I think you look great, Mom, Shelly chimed in. Grabbing the mirror propped on the kitchen counter, Deborah said, Thanks, Gumdrop. She smiled at her daughter and turned back to her image. I know I don't look that good, and that's fine. Really, I'm okay with it. I'm not so sure how sold I am on this guy anyway. I appreciate you being kind, though. Arya clicked her tongue. Deborah, I know, confidence. Let's finish the hair. Since Shelly had no date preparation tasks occupying her, Deborah urged her to drag her sister out of the bedroom. When Shelly reached the top of the staircase, she paused. A slight space lingered between the door and the door frame. Looking through the opening, she saw Savannah sprawled across the bed. She looked tame as she swiped across her phone. Shelly breathed deeply and walked in. Hey, she said. Mom wants you to come help her get ready for her date. I know, I heard. Shelly waited for a response that didn't arrive. Are you going to come? Savannah continued to move her finger across her screen, not pausing to like or look at anything. Before Shelly could create an incentive for her sister, Deborah's voice carried up and broke through the silence. Shelly, will you get my black pencil skirt and pick out a nice white blouse to go with it? Something sexy. The inside of her stomach felt like goo. Shelly wished she didn't have to search for a clothing item that increased her mother's sex appeal. Ugh, she's acting like it's her prom, Savannah said. In a careful manner, Shelly closed the door behind her. Yeah, I don't want to get that blouse. Savannah flipped over and smiled like a secret keeper. Don't worry, I'll do it. I need to know my extra clothes options for the next few days anyway. You think she'll let you borrow her clothes? I don't really care, but yes. If I choose a not-so-expensive outfit, she won't mind. She's been offering me stuff for a while. She's more concerned about putting on her best mom front than me putting on her best clothes. Shelly squinted. Seriously, it's okay. I'll pick out something cute for her, and I'll ask before I take anything. While Savannah slid off the bed and sauntered into their mother's bedroom, Shelly descended to an ongoing conversation of acting cool and casual around men. Don't be too eager, Arya said. I know that. Deborah tossed the side of her hair that was curled. I know you know, but play it cool. Give him a chance to realize you're out of his league. Arya leaned her hips to the side and winked at Shelly. Shelly interrupted. Did you want anything else, Mom? The curling inhibited Deborah from doing a full turn around in her stool, but she managed to peek over her shoulder. Through the curtains of her hair, Deborah frowned. Where's your sister? Where are the clothes I asked you to get? Coming, Savannah shouted. She thumped down the stair steps and approached with a black pencil skirt and a shining silver tank top with spaghetti straps. Instinctively, Shelly took a step back. "What's that?" Deborah said. "Your outfit." "I asked Shelly to get those, Savannah. That was her responsibility." Arya stopped curling her hair. "It's not a big deal that I got them. You wanted me to help." "You're right. Except I asked for a white blouse. I can't wear that shirt, you know that. It won't cover my garments." In the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, many adult members chose to go to a temple and dedicate themselves to God with promises, known as covenants, of lifelong service and obedience. Some thought this meant acting in perfection, others viewed it as dedication. Their mom tried for both. These members also wore an underclothing called garments, as a reminder of their promises. Worn whenever possible, they were supposed to keep their garments covered. No shoulders showing, no hems cut much higher than the knee. Savannah had not gone to a temple to make these promises. She didn't even go to church. But despite Shelly's apprehension at her sister's choice, Savannah had not forgotten what her mother could or could not wear. "I know," Savannah said. "I was going to get the white blouse and thought you might have a little more fun with this." She shook the tank around. "You can wear a blazer with it. It will be a professional posh look. You'll look great. You're welcome." Deborah's jaw tightened. After a deep breath in and out, it relaxed. "We'll see how it looks when I try it on." Dropping the clothes onto her mother's lap, Savannah smirked before plopping onto the couch in the living room. Amused, Arya shook her head and began to curl Deborah's hair again. Shelly stood there unsure and watched her mother texting with a coy smile on her face. "Is that your date?" Shelly asked. Deborah's face popped back up. "Oh." She put her phone face down on the counter. "No, it's just an old coworker. He wants to go out tonight, but clearly I'm busy." She smacked her lips. The question did not save Shelly as she had intended. Her awkward feelings thrived on the thought that her mother had a fling with multiple guys. Arya began talking about how she and Deborah should go on a double date someday, and taking her chance, Shelly relocated to the living room where the television played Friends. Remembering what her mother said earlier, Shelly walked around to an armrest and slid onto a cushion. "I texted Maxwell," Savannah said. Shelly gave a minute acknowledgement of this and then stared at the television. Arya and Deborah giggled in the background. "You know, for once, I'm glad Mom's going on a date," Savannah said. "Sure, she can do whatever. I'm used to it. It's not like the divorce is new or anything. But this gives us the perfect excuse to go have fun without her complaining about being left behind." Unlike Savannah, Shelly preferred time with her mother. At least it would soften the blow when they tried to talk about their concerns regarding the relationship. Shelly hardly knew what that conversation entailed, but it made her nervous. She and Savannah had done no preparation for the sit-down portion of the visit. The wildness of the disorganized future engulfed her. She didn't know what she would say. She didn't know what Savannah would say. "Savannah, we can't go out," Shelly said. "Come on, I'm never on the East Coast, and it's one night. Mom won't even be here. Don't worry about it." Shelly dropped her voice to a raspy whisper. "We can't go. We still need to prepare to talk to Mom about the relationship stuff. We haven't discussed what we'll say." Savannah lowered her voice too, her whispers more clear and pleasing. "Whatever we want to say. Hey, we'll figure it out. We can talk about it tomorrow, but tonight, please, let's go out." With Maxwell, Shelly turned to the television again. The characters were loud and stubborn and a lot like her sister. It seemed like all their problems came from fighting and miscommunication. Shelly decided to resolve the first problem, and then she could convince Savannah to help her solve the second. It was typical for Shelly to skip out on these things, but maybe if she socialized, chose to be like Virginia, then she could improve her situation. "Fine, we can go if you agree to use tomorrow morning to plan what we'll say to Mom. I'll probably sleep until the afternoon, but that works for me," Savannah said. "Promise? If you go out with me tonight, you have my word." Shelly nodded her head, and Savannah released a small, slightly audible squeal while wrapping her arms around Shelly. "We are going to have so much fun!" After their tentative agreement, Shelly settled further into the couch. She tried to avoid imagining all that could go wrong when two young adult girls spent a night with strangers. Kidnapping, sexual harassment, somehow getting robbed or lost. She chose to not think about these threats, even if their occurrence seemed reasonably possible. The time spent with her sister amounted to never nowadays. If they were going to mend things with their mother, she needed to fill in the holes of their relationship with her sister first, as much as she could in the time they had. Shouts erupted from the television as a bunch of arguing commenced in the show. "What episode is this?" Shelly asked. "The one with the 5 steaks and an eggplant. You should watch it. It teaches a good lesson. Friends who don't go out and party will majorly regret it." Shelly rolled her eyes, but she finished the episode with Savannah and watched halfway through the next one, until their mother yelped for both of them to come to her bedroom. Shelly skipped up the stairs, Savannah dragged herself forward, and Arya waited for them both outside the entryway. "I thought you guys were getting ready downstairs," Savannah said. I finished her hair. Arya winked again. Shelly never knew what to do when strangers winked at her or at her general vicinity, and Arya winked a lot. With great effort, she did her best not to squirm and seem uncomfortable, abnormal. Now it's time for the clothes, Arya said, gesturing for them to go in. They all entered her mom's bedroom as Deborah finished any final clothing adjustments in the walk-in closet. Close to 20 throw pillows covered the made bed, all piled in front of one another. Different flowers and colors crossed over each one. In the front, a single pink horizontal pillow covered most of the bed's width, displaying a quote that said, "Unagi." Savannah absent-mindedly strolled over to the pillow and let her fingers play with the edges. Flipping it face down onto the bed, she saw the other side in its quote, "Salmon skin roll." Rolling her eyes, Savannah let out a loud, "Ha." Their mom loved sushi. Shelly had gone out to eat it with her multiple times. The pillow was slightly amusing, but Shelly stayed quiet in case her mother came in and caught Savannah laughing at her decor. It didn't make sense that it would make Savannah laugh. "It's a friend's quote," Savannah explained, eyeing Shelly. "I almost bought one myself. Glad I didn't." Smoothing out the covers, Arya sat down on the bed. "You girls, mothers are allowed to like the same things as you." Maybe some moms," Savannah said, flipping the pillow back in place. "But not the ones you're related to?" "Basically. And that's why you almost bought the same pillow as your mom," Arya said. Words came out choppy. What? And Savannah tripped as she sat down on the bed and focused on the entry to the walk-in closet. Arya and Shelly laughed at her dumbfounded behavior, and Savannah raised her head to the ceiling, unable to avoid catching their cheerful contagion. Eventually, all she could say was, "But Friends is pretty cool, so..." Coming out of her closet, Deborah noticed Savannah pulling on the pillow's edge and said, "Isn't that pillow great? Okay, what do you guys think?" With her arms stiff at her sides, Deborah breathed through widespread lips and tight teeth. The same clothing that Savannah had laid in Deborah's hands now laid on her body. A pencil skirt and blazer dark as the light-polluted sky, the silver tank that shined like the city lights, and closed-toed pumps that raised her to the heights of skyscrapers. In one outfit, Savannah had helped her mother capture New York City. "Wow, Deborah, you need to do a turn for us." Arya twirled her finger in the air. Both her daughters watched but weren't sure how to comment until the spinning stopped. "So, you approve of the top after all?" Savannah said. "Yes," Deborah responded, smoothing down her smile and skirt. Arya quickly mentioned, "You need accessories." "Oh, yes." Deborah relaxed again. "Savannah, would you help me pick something out?" Okay." The two disappeared and muffled voices drifted from the closet into the quiet bedroom. Shelly thought of using this opportunity to call John, assuming her sister and mother would converse thoroughly against one another's opinion of earrings, necklaces, etc. As she pulled out her phone, Arya spoke up. "Your mom says you're getting your master's in art?" "Yeah, that's great. Are you on fall break then? Needed an impromptu trip to the city?" "No, actually, I'll have to do classes while I'm here, but I can attend online, so that's okay." Shelly didn't know how much to say. She had known Arya since she and her mom moved to New York, back when she was in high school, and thought that her mother's friend was cool. Way cooler than she ever imagined any of her mom's friends being. But since she had visited so little since college, she felt an awkward distance had developed, and she wasn't sure how long that distance was. Arya's eyes seemed to steadily survey Shelly, as if she weren't sure what to make of her either. "Nice, making it work. I always thought school was too much pressure, but I respect that you're doing what you want." That lingered. What you want. Shelly spoke over the phrase as it persistently sounded in her mind. "You went to hair school, right?" A redundant question. Arya did all of Shelly's haircuts in high school. Something needed to fill the empty air. She seemed to forgive the redundancy and answered as if the question naturally fit into the conversation. "A long time ago. I finished that right before high school to ensure I had my out from college. So I finished my program 20 years ago. Very long ago." Sitting on the bed, Shelly said, "I'm glad you escaped it. Some of us got stuck." "Is that how you feel?" Before she answered, Shelly looked over to the closet. No one came out. I don't know. I had fun getting my bachelor's. I didn't plan to keep doing school, but my mom thought I should, and things happened, and here I am." Arya nodded, looking away. When she finally looked back, she said, "They've been in there a while, huh? Either they've killed each other, or they got lost in all the accessories." A deep laugh came out of Arya, surprising Shelly. "Deborah, you almost done in there?" Savannah reappeared and gave her another surprise. Her sister seemed happy. Lifting up her chest, Savannah started, "I have finished, and the fit is working." Walking out with the same outfit on, Deborah pulled back her hair and showed two sparkling silver earrings hanging down by her neck. They looked like brilliant impersonations of diamonds. No other accessories laid upon her, leaving her collarbones bare and beautiful. "You look great," Arya said. "Fantastic, Mom. Shelly tried not to lose enthusiasm, as she remembered her mom would soon be leaving them, and then she would need to go out clubbing. The forced excitement went unnoticed by Deborah as she clasped her hands together and took in the 3 women whom she loved most. Thank you, everyone. I think this is going to go well. I'm so glad to have you all here. Savannah, you did well. Savannah folded her arms and smirked. Thanks. Is it time to go? What time is it? Deborah said. 6:10, Arya replied. I'm going to be late. Deborah rushed past Shelly and out the bedroom door. She clicked down the stairs and nearly twisted her ankle on the last step. The miniature crowd gasped but continued to follow when Deborah reassured them that she and her heels were completely fine. Walking out the door, Deborah gave one last goodbye, and with a click, the chaos ended. Standing near the front door, Arya offered to have a girls' night with Savannah and Shelly. Shelly preferred this option, but Savannah insisted that she needed to take her sister out and into the city. We have a few boys we're meeting up with, she said. In a casual lean against the kitchen counter, Savannah turned her back to Arya and mouthed to Shelly, the deal. During her sister's secret spy message, Arya stood still. When Savannah faced her again, she tried to reassure their mother's friend. Some of our friends. She didn't mention that she only knew one of them, as of 8 hours ago. Leaving, Arya gave them her best wishes. Unlike their mother, Savannah did not take hours to get ready. However, she still took more time than Shelly would ever need, so Shelly laid across the middle of the gray couch, utilizing the minutes to cope with the idea of frolicking from club to club. She reminded herself that many people went to clubs and did not die. This was a common activity for a New York City night. While ominous, the landscape at night also held beauty for her. Various types of people came out from the stacked towers, ready to laugh, dance, drink, eat. These were the Virginies. Shelly didn't think the beginning of the nightlife would bother her, but outside of Provo, most of these Virginies left as drunk and disordered as a Picasso piece, and so Shelly had avoided the beginning of the nightlife, for she couldn't bear the end. When Savannah came down, she insisted that Shelly change out of her jeans and into her nicer clothes. Rubbing a backache from the cushions, Shelly told her she had brought nothing but jeans, and Savannah stared. Grasping her arm, Savannah pushed Shelly up to their bedroom within a few seconds. Graphic tees were slandered, and sparkling dresses were disposed of and dropped onto the floor. Eventually, Savannah left the room and came back with a sleek, velvet black dress. Did you get that from Mom's closet? Shelly asked. Try it on. I don't think she'll want me wearing her clothes. Trust me, it doesn't matter. Try it on. Shelly went to the bathroom and wriggled into the fabric. The halter top barely covered her shoulders, and the hem reached right above her knee. Grasping her body, the velvet cinched together in multiple spots at the waist, emphasizing her figure. It fit her more loosely than it would have her mother, but Shelly did not see this when she looked into the mirror. She saw a modern Virginie. As she walked out, Savannah expectantly held a pair of heels. Shelly raised her eyebrows, and Savannah dropped them onto the ground. Turning around, she tossed a few things out of her cream-colored suitcase and came back up with a different pair of shoes. What about these? Savannah said. Shelly took them. They left the apartment, Savannah wearing a red mini dress and a cropped shearling white coat, and Shelly in a black dress, red cotton jacket, and all black high-top Vans. In the elevator, Savannah turned to her sister and said, Aren't you glad I brought my casual shoes? Right, I'm glad you brought your casual shoes. As they entered the lobby, Savannah called Maxwell, and Shelly suddenly remembered her promise to John. She flipped out her phone and hit his speed dial. Hello? He said. John, I'm so sorry I forgot to call. That's not a problem. We're talking now, aren't we? I'm not sure how long we'll have. Savannah's dragging me out to parties. Apparently our flight attendant lives here, and so he's going to take us out with his friends. Not exactly my idea of fun, but it's what she wants. Finding a plush, pearl-colored chair shaped like an open seashell, Shelly sat down. Your flight attendant? The apprehension in his voice was clear. So you don't really know the people you're going out with? No, but Savannah insists that it's safe. We're going to meet up at whatever club we're going to first. Leaning against the side of the plush chair, Shelly watched as Savannah paced up and down a long red rug. Dream come true for her, Shelly thought. I don't love that. I know, but I might be able to drag her back home after 2 hours or so. Besides, it's not even 9 yet. What time is it? Shelly checked her phone. 8:45. But I think it's important for me to bond with Savannah. We didn't talk much when I moved with Mom to New York, and we talked even less when she moved to St. George. If we're going to make things work with Mom, we gotta make things work with us. Plus, I want to be closer with her. That makes sense. How about you guys stay home and play board games? Ha, she'd love that. How many guys are you going out with? John asked. I don't know. All I know is that he said he would bring his friends. You should have fun with your sister, but going out with a bunch of strangers. Savannah's phone call ended, and she interrupted Shelly's conversation. Hey, Maxwell gave me the location. We should go. Our Uber's been waiting for 10 minutes, and I've been left behind before. You already got an Uber? Ugh, I'm sorry, John. It's time to leave, and Savannah's already walking out the door. Oh, well, love you. Shelly hung up. Savannah! Before her sister decided to leave her at the apartment complex, which, if Shelly had stopped to think, would have been quite nice for her, she followed her out the large brass doors. Pulling the velvet of her dress down, she hopped across the street and entered through the open car door right before Savannah's red mini dress vanished into the Uber. The cushioned seats absorbed Shelly's deep exhale as she buckled up. Where are we going? Wouldn't you like to know? Savannah teased. I'd like to know, the driver pitched in, impatient. He looked backward, his gelled black hair, pressed-collared shirt, and silver watch taking them both off guard. This Uber driver dressed with far more intention and class than the last one they had. Savannah quickly gave him the location. Wiggle room. The man shook his head and merged back into the traffic. Glancing at her sister first, Savannah pulled up the profile of the driver. Ryan Kim. 2 stars. Savannah, Shelly hissed. 3 stars. Savannah, we haven't even arrived yet. Wait until then to review him. Savannah changed her rating back to 2 stars, but before she replied, the driver, Ryan, inserted, Don't worry, I'm not here for the reviews. Shelly tucked her hair behind her ears. She thought she had whispered quietly, but like most people, she was unable to. Sorry. No worries. I'll get you girls to where you need to go, and then I'm going home for the night. A light reflected off his watch as he turned the steering wheel. Savannah abruptly joined the conversation. Don't you need good reviews to keep driving? Meh. What? You don't care? If I learned anything from my parents, it's that stress speaks louder than success. And this is just a side gig. Unlike most people, I like driving in New York. Gets me thinking in a different way. That's crazy, Savannah said. Shelly sat silently. The buildings they passed grew taller. She wished her mother had learned that lesson. You had wise parents, she said. Well, I may have learned that lesson, but my parents never did. I guess I was lucky enough to be a visual learner. We all have our faults, though. They continued the rest of the drive in silence, but in her mind, Shelly continued to repeat what Ryan had said. Stress speaks more loudly than success. If that were the case, Shelly wondered if she would ever feel the joys of her future success. The joys of a finished portrait, a mended relationship with her mother, or a happy home. Would she feel satisfied, or would the stress of the next big thing deafen all else out? At their destination, the sisters walked onto the street, and Ryan gave a well-mannered goodbye. Savannah changed her rating. 4 stars. The streets seemed to carry more people than the buildings. Lines moved less than a step a minute, but grew a person a second. Savannah surveyed them on her toes. I don't see Maxwell. I think he's already in there, she said. I'm going to call him. The call lasted seconds and went straight to voicemail. So, what's the plan? I don't know. I'll send him a text. 5 minutes passed with Savannah's eyes on her phone. Unmoving messages and posted photos took turns on her screen. 5 more minutes. No reply appeared. Do you think he'll answer soon, or... Shelly started. None of the messages have delivered. Savannah clenched her phone. Ugh. Shelly stopped watching people in the line, bored by repeat outfits and repeat personas of shivering and chattering. It was 9:15. It was getting late. Do you want to go eat somewhere? Shelly said. We can wait for them while we eat, or, well, I don't know what else we could do. Savannah searched for a text again. Okay. She looked up. Let's find something to eat. A burning coated Shelly's eyes. Either they hurt from exhaustion or from the blaring lights of signs and buildings. Rubbing them, she searched through the internet. They needed food. Mexican food sounded good, but fatty and high in calories. Fast food chains wouldn't do, for similar reasons. Aesthetic desserts that toppled over one another. A donut stacked on a cake slice stacked on a hot chocolate. Shelly almost clicked the link to get directions, but, well, no, she couldn't do that. How about sushi? Shelly said. There's a place with 3.5 stars 10 minutes from here. Or there's one by Mom's that I like if you want to go there. We could go back and watch a movie. Savannah gave her full attention to Shelly. You'd rather see a movie? Shelly, we don't need those guys. We can eat and go dancing without them. We can still have fun in New York. Her sister's hands grasped hers. With resignation, Shelly said, So you want to go to the sushi place closer to us? For a moment, the lights from building windows and lamps and light bulbs strung across the entryways reflected off Savannah. But the lights also illuminated Shelly's face, a face with hooded eyes that wouldn't stop staring into nothingness. Savannah squeezed her eyelids together. All right. She opened her eyes and released her sister's hands. Let's go to the sushi place by Mom's. Are you sure? I'm sure. I'm not in the mood for dancing anymore tonight. Savannah zipped up her white shearling coat. She raised a finger. But we are still going clubbing before we leave. Let's get sushi. End of chapter. Yay!